Welcome to the CEO of Destiny podcast, where you will find the tools to fulfill the purpose of your generation and wildly succeed in the marketplace. And now your host, Andre J. Benjamin.
Question for you. Can you talk about some of the projects that you found that you worked on that were cool for you, that you still kind of can nerd out about? Maybe it can be a toy or a game or a cartoon or something that you thought, well, I really enjoyed that. That was actually fun.
Okay, I'll start at the beginning. I was the voice of the next computer when Steve Jobs was booted from Apple.
Oh yes, when he went to Next, founded the company.
He founded Next, so I was the voice of that computer. So that was cool.
Nice.
At the same time, I was in the very first business training video for Microsoft when it was still located in Silicon Valley. That was a long time ago.
Oh, wow.
So I was working with two of the greats at the very beginning in the 80s.
Absolutely.
So that was amazing. I think directing so many video games, would really, and I learned a lot from those, but then I cast and directed the original American version of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And that was just fantastic. And so still to this day, my favorite line of direction to an actor is, okay, after you're beheaded and your head is rolling through the sand, right before it goes into gets sucked into the jar, can you give me a Slurpee sound? And the actor did it. And I thought, after I said that, I went, you don't say that in corporate America very often.
No, not at all.
That's just, if you did, they would probably say, I think you should find employment elsewhere. So that was really cool. Doing a bunch of toys. They're always fun.
What kind of toys? What kind of toys did you enjoy?
Well, it's funny. I had this one toy that I bought a couple of them to give to grandchildren. This is when my kids were still little. So, but it was what was it? Anyway, but it's Simon Says. Yes. So Simon Says toy. So you just push the heart and then it says, "Hi, I'm Simon Says." And then just like so it plays a game. I think when I was teaching a character class, and I was also working a lot with Leapfrog, and they were looking for the voices of Leap and some of the other characters. So I think 3 of the people in my character class at the time ended up getting the major characters.
Wow.
For Leapfrog. It's one of those things. I'm such a forward thinker that I don't go back and think about a lot of the other stuff. But I also, one of the ones I thought was really fun, because I worked with this one company a lot, but it was just a blast. It was kind of a funny toy. It was called the SBD 3000. It was a burping, farting robot bank. And what made it fun, besides that it danced and it had a drawer that came out and that would make it burp, and then it would lift its leg and then it would fart, which, as an adult, telling people to do these sounds is kind of fun. But we started out with doing the casting, trying to find the right voice for it, and then found one guy who had a really good voice, but then it just wasn't funny enough. And then we tried other accents, and then he did an Australian one. I said, "Oh, let's try that." And somehow an Australian burping, farting robot bank is better, but it would dance, and do stuff and tell jokes. And I don't know, I just thought it was fun. It was one of those things that I think a college student would want in their dorm room, just to kind of perk them up.
Totally for that. That's it's college humor. When you brought a toy home, what were your children like when they hear your mom's voice on it? When you say that's you, you know what I mean?
They were just talking to me normal.
They were just, mom.
I'm still mom. It's just like, talk to me normal. I would read stories with all the different voices. And they go like, "Don't do that. just do mom's voice." I like that one right there.
That's so real. Children,
but I do. It's all about imagination and living. I'm being open and creative. That's what I nurture.
Was it great? Was it great for you? And was that a rewarding feeling to also see your students and previous students get placed in significant work, how did that feel
Oh
as an
my
educator?
goodness. Yes. I think, and even just when my kids would book jobs, I had more joy from them than from me.
Absolutely.
So one of my youngest daughter is still getting residual checks because she was in a group of 5 people who were worked at Pixar with Brad Bird in the during the crowd scenes for The Incredibles.
Wow.
So that was really cool. But just like, and that's, just seeing her or doing some other things or going with some of my kids when they got some jobs was probably more joy than I ever had for me.
Absolutely.
I think one of the some other joyful moments. I'm in the film Sorry to Bother You, and I play a game show host with blue hair and very futuristic. So if you ever watched that, that's really cool. That was a special moment, and I was working with Lakeith Stanfield, and Boots Riley was directing, and it was just a fun moment. And then I don't know, I'm very saddened right now. 5 years ago, I was working with Michael Kenneth Williams, and he was recording the history of hip hop, but we just had some great conversations and talks, and what a wonderful person, and that, of course, he passed away recently, but it just really hit me, how fragile our lives are. But also his time with him, my time with him is even more treasured, because he had to stop at a certain point because the story was hitting home on a personal level, and he wanted to tell his story. So it was, just, some really special moments. So what was interesting is that my daughter then called me when she found out, because she knew that we had that moment.
Wow.
That together, that we spent a day together. But it was a very memorable day.
It's powerful how much you've spoke, and even in your work, you spend a lot of time talking about story, and story is huge because it's seeming to resonate again in people's desire for a really strong story right now. It's big, and people being able to communicate their own story, which is huge, of kind of what they went through and in an interesting way, and condense and really hit those in those specific points of like, these are key things, because you took us through a lot, and but in a short amount of time, it's very relatively short compared to all the years, you know what I mean? So I really want to thank you today for coming and for being on. I really think people are going to glean a lot from this. My goal was that people would be encouraged, because there definitely should be, there's curiosity when you see that there are still unique fields for people to get into. Children are kind of still groomed, sadly, and and no disrespect to doctors and lawyers and judges and all these type of things, but those are and engineers, but everybody's still kind of steered that way. So when you hear about someone that says, hey, I carved out my own pathway with something that I recognize that we all carry, which is our voice, and how do you use it as an instrument, and how can you basically play that instrument to where it creates these beautiful, on the canvas of people's hearts and their imaginations and their minds. It's just really great stuff. So I'm look forward to people finding you. I once again want to promote these books because they're very impactful. There is money where your mouth is, right? Let's get a hold of this. And I want you to get a hold of Voiceovers for Podcasting, because they're very groundbreaking books. And I love the work that Elaine is doing. And any final words you want to say, Miss Elaine?
Well, I think that we all have to find our inner child and enjoy that, because that's where a lot of twinkle in the eye comes from, and a lot of play and fun and connection, and just be thankful for all the relationships that you have in your life that nurture you in all the different ways. And I also want to thank you so much for inviting me to talk with you. You're such a joy yourself.
Thank you for your encouraging words. When you said that thing about your inner child, I was talking to my wife about how I used to read Calvin and Hobbes when I was a child, and then now it's funny because in all the busyness of being an adult, right, or trying to be grown up, taking care of responsibilities and things, our middle daughter will bring Calvin and Hobbes to me, and she'll want to reread these jokes that I introduced her to Calvin and Hobbes, but she's just like, Dad, no, Dad, you got to understand why this is funny. So it's just funny when you said, but then when I go back to mentally, when I was in that space, it's hilarious, right? You're like, this is really funny, but I can't be so, I'm an adult now, and this is not. So it's totally on point what you just said. Thank you for your time and for being here.
Yeah, and give yourself permission to play.
Yes, I love it. Permission to play. Well, that's a great point for us. And thank you, Elaine. And we are hoping the best and expecting the best for you. God bless.
Great. Thank you. Same to you.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. Do us a favor. If this was useful in any way for you, please go to iTunes and leave us a review. Reviews will allow others to easily discover the podcast. If you'd like more information and to receive a free download, rediscover your destiny, go to ceoofdestiny.com. Thanks again, and tune in next time.